learning about that present moment, learning to be with the self in that moment. We're always in the future or the past. When we can learn to come into that present moment, that's where the power lies. There's a shift happening on this planet, and a lot of people can feel it. We make things a lot more difficult than it is. The teaching themselves are very simplistic. It's the healing that's the hard part.
Hello, beautiful questers, and a warm welcome to the OneQuest podcast. We are absolutely delighted to have you with us on this journey of learning and self-discovery.
Whether you're unwinding, seeking a moment of peace, or just indulging in some well-deserved you time, we're here to sprinkle a little joy and a whole lot of inspiration into your day. Our guests are not just mentors in wellness and self-improvement, they are adventurers at heart, dreamers in spirit, and storytellers by nature, sharing their unique paths and life lessons. So let's embark on this tapestry of tales together.
Be prepared for moments that move you, narratives that nurture, and reflections that resonate with your own journey. Before we dive in, if you enjoy our show, please subscribe and share. Your support enables us to feature more amazing guests and deliver impactful conversations. Together, we can inspire a billion lives. Please note that some episodes may cover sensitive topics like abuse, mental health struggles, and personal challenges. If you find the content overwhelming, feel free to step back and take care of yourself. Remember, it's okay to pause and return when you're ready.
Hello to all of our questers, and we welcome you back to another OneQuest podcast. Today we're here with Tiffany and Catherine. And Tiffany, we have on our website offering a couple of courses. A brief intro to Tiffany, but I'd rather hear more from her. Tiffany is an empath and intuitive channel dedicated to guiding others on their journey to holistic healing and spiritual awakening. Through practices rooted in Chinese spirituality and energy work, Tiffany empowers individuals to transform their lives and cultivate inner harmony, joy, and purpose. As the founder of My Zen Living, she offers tools and insights to help people heal, grow, and live more fulfilled lives. I hope that's a fair, brief intro to Tiffany, and we want to hear more from you. So you've got some courses on the OneQuest portal. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, how you're working with your clients, and if there's somewhere some new courses or products that you're going to produce and make available for others.
Well, first, thank you. That was beautiful. I loved it. It was so sweet of you. It just sounded great. I think I sound great. Oh my gosh. I'm teasing. First and foremost, I teach meditation. I teach QiGong. I teach the first 5 branches of Chinese medicine. And I've been really fortunate in my life to have some wonderful teachers that have taught me this, and it helped with my own healing. And so I really love to teach people how to learn to go within. You know, a lot of people, it's a buzzword of meditation and understanding that, but meditation can take us to a deeper level of self and healing self. I was talking about that earlier with you about how there's a shift happening on this planet, and a lot of people can feel it. I mean, you really can feel it. And so I teach people a lot in my courses about this shift, you know, about what's going on, about how to connect to the inner self, about how to heal things, you know. And when we heal things, we get closer to the heart, right? We get closer to the heart, and which is what we really want to work with is this heart, because that's what gives us joy. And that's a big part of this shift, is learning how to open and work with the heart, right? It is a big part of it. So there's a lot in my courses. So I really teach in these 2 courses with you. The first one is meditation, and the second one is QiGong. Understanding QiGong is like walking meditation in many ways. It's moving the body and allowing the body to flow with its qi. And meditation is a stillness. It's really learning to be in that present moment.
That's beautiful.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And is there a little bit of a drop-in that you could offer us just to set the scene for our podcast this morning? Is there something that you'd like to do to share your teachings with the audience?
Well, I guess I would really start with your first question, to be honest with you. I know we were going to ask you about my mentor. Everything kind of stems from that. So I would bring him in, my teacher. So my teacher's name is Leon Tan, and I met him in my late 20s on my own healing journey. And he is a really amazing man. He lives in Malaysia and Thailand, and he travels back and forth to the US. And he's very proficient in QiGong, Kung Fu, martial arts, the Asian philosophy. But one of the most interesting things about Leon is he is known as a channel. And a lot of people are starting to wake up knowing what channeling is. He is known as an unaware channel. So he doesn't remember what he channels, but he's still very remarkable in his own way and his own intuition. And I've been really fortunate. I've been working with him for 20 years. And I'm also known as being initiated as a warrior. What that ultimately means is that I'm fated to this path. So I'm fated to this particular path. And so I'm really a messenger of these old teachings. And so Wango Sensei is his name, and he's come down during this time period, really because there is a shift happening on this planet. And this ancient wisdom is going to be kind of relevant during this time period that's coming up. Learning to heal, knowing how your body works, how your life force works, how to connect to it. I've been really fortunate to have such a great teacher. And so I've been with him ever since. So a lot of the teachings that I teach actually come from him. So it's been a fascinating journey, to say the least. So.
Absolutely. And the learning never stops, I guess. If after 20 years you're still working with him, you must still be learning a lot.
Yes. But it's interesting because we make things a lot more difficult than it is, but usually the teaching themselves are very simplistic. It's the healing that's the hard part, right? It really is, right? Is it not? So that's what I found. And so this is where I teach people about consistency and really going in and that kind of stuff is, is what I've been just really fortunate. So.
Absolutely. And have you had some clients come to you who just had no awareness of what you're talking about now, and it's come from like scratch, complete newbie?
Yes, I have. So they'll come to me, and the courses help because I go very in depth about energy flow. And so really understanding the courses, most people will look at the courses first and then want to come work with me, because then it all really starts to make a lot more sense. So then they listen and they look at the courses and like, oh, wow, I kind of wonder. Or they'll come to my class and I really go very in depth in the class of energy flow. And I'll do a little bit here with you today, but then that's when they really start to say, oh, wait a second, because everyone really is here to heal. That's why we're here to heal. We all came into this life with, some form of blockage. I hate that word, but what it really is coming and learning to come into our higher self, right? And my teacher will call it the small self versus the higher self. So
I love that. And how do you feel your own energy, Tiffany? Like, is there a way that you can do that easily to sort of get a feeling of what that beautiful energy elixir is that you talk about?
Yes, I'm going to talk about that with you. This is one of the main things I bring up all the time is there is in Chinese medicine, all right? And in the foundation of the energy work that I teach, there's an energy called the Dantian. And a lot of people have heard of the Dantian, or they'll call it the Dantian. It's 3 fingers below the navel here. It is an energy source right here within the body, okay? Now, this is in Taoism. So my teacher, Wango Sensei, is the head of Taoism and Confucianism. And we have this energy source right here. So this is why breath work, for example, is becoming so popular, right? People, they don't know that they're activating this, by the way. Many people don't know that this energy right here is what is coming alive. And this is a connection to source, right? But it's a connection to your source, your own life energy, your life, your force, your life chi, whatever you want to call it. But it is that connection. And we cultivate this connection, right? We cultivate this and the energy starts to expand within the body. This allows for the heart to start to open. This allows for a lot of healing to start to happen, right? The more you work with this, so for example, when people come to me with me, I can put my hands on them. They will feel literally the energy coming out because of those years of cultivation, right? Because of that. So you can only imagine my teacher, Leon. I mean, he's like Yoda or something. You're like, real? Oh my God. but it's fascinating. But this is really, so you start to open it. And so this is where you have this feeling, so you could feel energy. So I'm very in tune with feeling energy. I can tap into people's energy. I have that ability. And the more everybody does though. I mean, this isn't like I'm special. As you start to get more into your own healing, your own intuition starts to emerge, your own gifts, so to speak. Everybody has gifts. And this new shift is going to happen where people are going to start to come more aware to their own gifts, right? And the more you heal within the body, the more these gifts emerge.
And I recently did an online virtual healing session, and it was quite interesting thinking, oh, I'm not in person, I'm not there. And, you know, that warmth, it's almost like a warmth for me, or that energy that you can feel of someone's presence or being close to you. Have you done any online work with people where you're able to do energy work or anything like that?
Yeah, I can do that online. So when I do my 30 days with people, for example, I will do, for example, I'll do like mood routines, and we'll come together energetically. I'll give one example. I was doing the mood routine with her, right? So I'm doing this with her. I'm meditating with her. I'm doing this. And with each one, she starts just crying, right? And I'm allowing her to shed those tears. And she couldn't figure out. She's like, why am I crying? What's going on? What's going on? And it was just me letting her, getting into her energy, allowing her to free flow, right? And she was also, just so that you're aware, the other person has to be willing to surrender, right? They have to be willing to allow for that to flow. So in that exchange, for example, you have to have both parties. That doesn't mean anybody comes to me, I can make that happen, just so you're aware. That person was like allowing and completely surrendering to that, if that makes sense.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're getting a little bit sidetracked with our questions because what you do is so fascinating.
We've got doing it, right?
And we've got a lot of questions we want to ask you. So if we just throw random questions out there, please, thank you for great, wonderful. So Catherine, would you like to dive into some of our questions for
absolutely.
Tiffany?
Look, you've done so much in the past, and you've had such an incredible journey of personal growth yourself. But I'm really interested about what your passion project is at the moment. Like, where are you putting your focus currently with your own personal growth?
As simple as it is, I really want to teach people how about meditation and their energy flow. It's like I said earlier, I'm fated to this path. It's such a simple thing, but it's such a big thing to be able for people to connect to themselves. It's the best gift you can give yourself. It is truly the best gift, because when we heal the self, that's the greatest gift you can give to this planet. Most people, and I'm all for it. I'm for charity. I love charity and helping and things like that. But they really forget the biggest gift, that is that healing the self, because it's an actual energy that vibrates out, right? So literally when we start to heal, we vibrate out, and there's a collective energy, right? And that lifts people up, right? That helps lift people up in your own world, in the collective. And so, I'm just really passionate about that. And I'm passionate about empowering people to be the best them, like really coming into their heart center, really coming into who they are. I love that, because that's what this whole journey is about. So if I can give that to somebody, I get teary-eyed. You know what I mean? Like, I get all mushy. Like, I just had a person just have a huge opening, and that's what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? I love it.
Such a gift. It's such a gift to be able to hold space for people like that, and to really, like, it's really transforming lives. It's beautiful work that you do. And was there a catalyst for you to sort of begin this healing journey, or to become a healer? Was there something that sort of was a sliding door moment, or was it more just you just kept getting guided to this path?
Well, that's such an interesting question. So, I had a lot of thinking about this. Like, I really delved deep into my spirit, my soul, and my own healing for this question. And really, it started at a very young age. And it was really probably the biggest catalyst was my father, right? My father was a big catalyst in my healing. And so the interesting thing about my upbringing was my father was a therapist. Okay. He was a psychologist. And in many ways, as children, we're the lab rats. Okay. We were the lab rats. So he was, love him, I do. But it was hard because what happened in that childhood was, what came about from it was this need to be perfect, because it was always like, well, no, because my sensitivity was a big thing with him. He always felt like, oh, you're so sensitive. There's something wrong with you. You're just like, oh, And now I'm not here to bash my dad and do a bash session because I honestly believe we choose our parents. My father is my biggest teacher. My father is my biggest teacher, and he is a blessing to me. So what I've learned from that experience really was, it was teaching me to come again to self, to heal me in many ways, and to understand not the need to be perfect. I think this need to be perfect stemmed from, I don't know if we get into it, I believe in other lives and things like that. And so this was something deep within me. This was a core thing of that I have been working with throughout my life, right? So I'd have to say my dad was probably my catalyst. But he's a great man. And like I said, I honestly believe we choose our parents. So it was just something I chose to learn. Like I was really coming into this lifetime to really learn this, to believe in myself and to not have that need to be perfect,
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I love how you explained the impact and the way that the vibration expands and grows. And it's one of the things that I absolutely love about working with the coaches. And it seems like everyone's wanting to do something more, give back, help others. And it aligns very much with what we have as part of our mission to help people and planet, because it's almost like the more that we heal ourselves, the better we can show up for others, the better that we can be aware of our surroundings, the more we can do to make better choices, hopefully, about our planet and the things that we're doing. As opposed to someone who is maybe not in that space yet, who's still suffering, who is still working through their personal challenges. And I know I've had mine, that's for sure, but I'd love to hear, like, what sort of challenges have you worked through over the years to really heal?
Well, because of my upbringing, and you kind of know that people pleaser, so that led to a lot of anxiety and insecurity and self-doubt and depression. So I was very young. I was really like 20. I was an interesting kid because I was into a lot of woo-woo stuff at 21, which is at that time that wasn't normal. Like, it wasn't, I was not in the normal of young people, right? So I was like always like, maybe it was my father in that way because he was a seeker. He'd take me to a lot of different religions and this and that. So he was a wonderful teacher in so many ways. But this kind of what it led me then is that I grew up with him, had these insecurities, and it really led me into this teacher, right? So I went to the teacher and I found him, and it was one of the things that actually worked, because I tried a lot of healing modalities. I tried other therapy. I don't want to get into all of them, but I tried a lot of different things, and this one really worked. Really understanding meditation, really understanding energy flow, learning how to heal me, being present with me. There's a big thing, I love the present moment. I love Eckhart Tolle talking about that. This is really about that. What I'm teaching is very much aligned with his teachings in many ways. Learning about that present moment, learning to be with the self in that moment. We're always in the future or the past, right? That's where the mind loves to go, And so when we can learn to come into that present moment, that's where the gift lies. That's where the energy lies. That's where the power lies. That's where the happiness lies, really, is in that present moment. So this is what I've overcome a lot of those anxieties now. It's amazing. I'm so happy. Like, I used to be a mouse on the wheel, and thinking these thoughts, and then I now I don't. It's just been an amazing journey. I'm just like, wow, life is beautiful, you know. And when you heal, you do have that. I mean, this is real, you know. There is a gift that happens when you heal these things.
I think it's such a common theme, the way you just described that we're on the hamster wheel, and the mind is going and worrying about something I said last week, worrying about what's happening next week. You know, it's all this, instead of just being present in the moment. I'm guilty of it myself.
We all are, though. That's just the thing. We are all guilty of it. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen to me, but the beauty of it, what happens with me now, is I can catch myself just like that. You know what I mean? I go, wait. And so there's because I always believe there's more healing and more growth. That's how I've been taught. There's always more. And we're always cultivating, we're always learning, we're always growing. And so yeah, it's just really, it's amazing. So yeah, I love that I don't do that mousetrap anymore.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so
I used
good.
to be really, really good at it. I'm telling you, I was like the best. I don't think anybody could beat me on that one. I was like so good at it. Could have won an award.
I love how you say that you're really working on healing that pain body to help you deal with that self-doubt and uncertainty. And I know Chinese medicine really works with that. You even mention in your courses about the fact that in Chinese medicine, if you're going to be a healer or a doctor, you actually have to work on healing yourself first, which I thought was such a beautiful concept. Like really healing the pain body is that way of coming to terms with who you are, what you've walked, the path you've been on. And is that something that you sort of go into in a lot more detail in your teachings about that sort of self-healing?
Oh, absolutely. There's a great quote that my teacher said one time, which I think is relevant to this. The best gods have flaws. Okay.
I love that.
I mean, if you think about that for a moment, right? I mean, and that is us learning this duality of energy with the light and the dark and our flaws, our mistakes, and this part. When we start to embrace both of these sides, we really then start to grow more, right? And again, this leads to that perfection thing of me, of being like, well, I can't make that mistake. Oh my gosh, when the beauty is of that mistake, right? There's a beauty in the mistake. There's a beauty in the growth of that. There's a beauty in that, of learning from that. And so this kind of leads to why we heal, right? Because the best teachers are the ones that have healed themselves. Really, those are the best teachers. Those are the best ones that have actually been through it, right? Who have seen that side. And that have healed themselves. That's what I've noticed. I work with my teacher, Leon, and, he has that same duality, right? And he's a fascinating man because seeing how he was and who he is now, and he's human. Are we not all human with this, right? And so it's really embracing that humanness and that we can learn from it, and it's coming again from this, like he talks about, this small self moving into this higher self. And we tend to hang on to this small self, and that we call it sometimes the ego. But the more we heal these pain bodies within us, they literally start to merge us into this heart center, to this higher self, right? And that's the importance of healing pain bodies, because they actually then literally shift the energy within the body. The energy shifts within the body, so we can then vibrate at this higher frequency that everyone talks about, right? And we hear this all the time, this higher frequency, and that is real too. But we also have to do the work, which there's a lot of, some people bypass that part. And in my teachings, we don't do that. There's no bypassing that part. It's like, no, do the work so we can actually, help. But that then also helps people in their healing, so it makes it easier for them. That's the beauty of it. I guess, in many ways, some people have done the hard work to help the others, but that's part of the journey. That's the beauty of it.
Absolutely. And for yourself, what work or routine is it that's pivotal to your personal growth?
Yeah. Meditation.
And your routine, would you mind sharing that with us? Like, is it a daily practice? Is it multiple times a day? Is it when you're driving? How do you practice your meditation?
So every morning I get up and I meditate. So I meditate every morning, and then I'll get into either maybe I'll do QiGong or maybe I'll do a nature walk. I pretty much spend about 50 minutes or so, maybe an hour of just basically, to me, it's self-care. Now, the reason why I like meditation as much as I do is because it's like I can connect more to the present moment when I meditate. So I've had it where I will maybe, take a week off. Maybe I'm on a trip or something. I take a week off and I will notice really, I'm like, you can move away from self, right? You can start energetically moving away from that. And so that's why I really believe, and it's for me, I like the feeling. I like the feeling of being in that centered space. Does that make sense? My heart is there. I like the way that feels because I know the difference, again, going back to the hamster wheel and all of that. That's not a lot of fun. Like, this is fun. Like, this is nice. I'm like, yeah. So for me, that's why I bring it back to meditation, because meditation does bring that. But also it's coming back to that breath, because what happens is then you can feel the physical connection. So a lot of people don't understand. They sit and meditate and like, yeah, this is great, whatever, But the more you connect with this Dante, you start to feel the physical connection to you. It's a physical connection. So you can start to even feel the energy around the heart, feel the energy around your body, feel this connection. And it really is a space, like a bubble almost, of like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. The energy is amazing. And so that is really what it is. So it is beautiful to come to that physical energy. So that's what you can look forward to through meditation. The more you cultivate that. But in the beginning, just so you know, the mind is designed to be active, right? And so we judge ourselves with that mind because we're like, I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. My mind's so active, But that's part of the process, right? So when we start to come in, I always teach people, like, if that's happening, come back to your breath. You're really learning to rewire the body, right? Rewire things and learn to come into this energy source that shifts things within the body.
And thank you for answering the question I wanted to ask. And that is, some people are incredibly disciplined and they would not miss their little routine of whether it's their daily walk or getting out into nature or their meditation or their exercise, whatever it is. But the reality is, for some people, to sustain that every day, it can be a challenge. So if you do miss it, like you said, if you're away, if you're on holidays, you can feel the gap opening up between what you like to feel, how you like to feel, and where you are when you've got away for a holiday and you haven't done it for a week. So I think it's reality, personally, that to remain superiorly disciplined to do it every day, it's quite a challenge. It's not easy.
It is. And I have that, and I don't expect others, but I've also been doing it for a very long time. So I always teach people the act of forgiveness of self. Like, I think that is so important, and not to put so much pressure on people about it. I don't expect them to be like me. I mean, I was strange 25-year-old kid doing what I did. So, I mean, I don't expect that, but I also just know the power of it. That's all I'm trying to say. And then if you can do, even if you do it only 2 minutes, my teacher would often say, even 3 minutes of connecting to self, that's all you have. That's beautiful, right? We have a lot of ideas of what we need to do. Like, oh, I got to be there 20 minutes, or I have to do this for that, or I have to go out and walk. And really, it's being with you, right? It's simply taking the time to say, I am important, and my spiritual growth is important. Another interesting thing is when we are on the spiritual path, I've often heard this, and once you get on, you can't get off. So I don't know. This is what I've heard. So this is, once you're on it, so you might as well enjoy the ride, So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's it's quite a path and can be quite a roller coaster too. And, you know, I think that's one of the things too in meditation. We tend to meditate, and then we sort of, as we're coming out, we're saying, oh, that was a good meditation or a bad meditation. Like, we're so geared for things having to be at a certain point or a certain success level. It's very hard to let go of all of those kind of preconceived concepts that we have as to what's good, what's bad, what's working, what's not, when really the reality is it's just about being with yourself and taking that time to be open and vulnerable, and really, you know, connecting to your spiritual self. It's such a beautiful thing. And you know, so like I know when I do my meditation practice, I really try and not think about things as being, you know, successful or not. You know, it's just, I've taken the time, I've sat there and I've sort of dropped in with myself. And I think that's the most important thing. And you have a beautiful concept around, you know, that you see success as being when your soul is fulfilled. I thought that was a really beautiful concept, and something that's very, you know, steeped in meditation, because it's not about actually achieving something. Sometimes it's actually just about showing up for yourself. And I thought that concept of soul fulfillment was really beautiful.
And it's very honest. I mean, it really is who I am. You know, it is really about, to me, it's all about the heart. And it's about me coming to me and feeling good about me, right? And all of me. This includes my flaws, my strengths, my weaknesses, all of it, just kind of, and meditation, we're learning to embrace self entirely, right? And this self energy. And so that's what's given me the most joy. If I look back on my life, it's not really, I mean, we love successes, but that's not what makes my heart go pitter patter, you know? It's really when I can come to me and be with me in that present moment and feel that love. You know, it's really coming to that source really within, and it feels really good. And I didn't have that. You got to go back to the beginning, right? So of course I'm like, this feels awesome, you know. And I think we all want that, though, deep down. I think really, because when we peel it all away, we get certain things in our life and we're like, yes, I've achieved that. And that gives you happiness. And that's like, oh, wait, now I got to achieve something else because now I'm not happy again. Got to achieve this. And then you're not happy with that. And then it keeps going and going. So it always comes back to self. I mean, that's really what I've learned. It's that part. And that is this next shift, by the way. It is really learning. It's a very spiritual shift, this next shift that is happening on this planet. And it's really learning how to heal and connect with that self. And that's not always easy. Just like you guys know, when you're on the spiritual path, there's bumps out on the road, and there's different emotions that come up and all of this stuff. So there's challenges. In my teachings too, I teach about the 7 challenges every human will have on this planet. There are 7 challenges that we will all face. This comes from my teacher, and that is in my courses to go deeper into that so people understand that there are challenges here. And when we learn how to come to approach these challenges that we will all face, life gets a lot easier.
I've got so many questions for you. We could be on you for quite a long time. I'd love to hear what your interpretation is, or your understanding. When you say this shift that's coming or that's about to happen, do you have like a way to explain that our listeners could, I guess, gain an understanding of how you see that shift happening? Or is there a way to define it even?
I'd love to hear my best in the short time, but I'll put it astrologically. So what happens, there's a collective energy all over the planet, right? And people will notice this, that we're going to do a collective energy shift. So whether you study Vedic astrology or you study, I don't know if you're familiar with human design, or if you study Western, all 3 of them are talking about this shift. They might differentiate in the timing of the shift, right? But they're all talking about it. So there's this collective energy. So we all have this collective energy. And like in human design, for example, they will call this collective energy that we're working with tribal energy, right? So we've been building these, cities. We've been collectively coming together and we're building and everything like that. That's what we were supposed to do in this collective energy, right? All of us together. So we all could feel this, right? So now, really around 2025, this big one, the collective energy is shifting for everybody. So we all have our individual blueprint, right? We all have our individual blueprint that we come into. Then we have a collective, right? And so we still will have our individual blueprint, but the collective is changing, right? So this collective energy, now think about that for a moment. The collective energy is shifting on the whole planet. Shifted, right? I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big, big deal. And this shift, the one was really talking about, tribal working, building systems, buildings, all these different things that we did, government, schools, healthcare, all these different things. This new system is about self. It's about self-love. It's about coming to self. It's about the spiritual self. It's also bringing the systems down that aren't aligned with the highest good. So if these systems aren't aligned with the highest good, they're going to shift, right? But we're going to have to see the darkness, which a lot of people don't like, before we can change it. So there's going to be a lot of awareness that we're going to have to be able to see, saying, wow, look at that. So that's where Pluto is sitting right now. It's kind of shedding light on all the darkness, right? And we have to see that darkness in order to merge it into the light. Right? But it's hard for people, if we're really honest. A lot of people don't like to see the dark, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
That's the hard part. But so it's a collective energy, and then learning to come to self. If you haven't been doing that, for example, this shift might be a little jarring for you, right? That, does that make sense? Like it might be like, wow, wait, I haven't, wow, what's happening? It's a physical energy that's shifting, and it's actually physical in the body. So it can really be a little, lack of a better word, jarring for some people. So we'll have a difference of people that, some people are like, yay, and others are like, what's happening? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And while we're on the topic of energy shifts and big change, have you had a profound, insightful, spiritual or woo-woo experience along your wellness journey that you would like to share with us?
Oh, I've just had so many. Like I've just had so many in my lifetime. There's just too many to count. So I thought about this when I thought, well, what would my most woo-woo be? And to be honest with you, I think I thought about this, because I'm an intuitive. I feel energy. I've always had woo-woo weird things happen in my life. But probably it's been sitting with a channel. Like I was able to sit with a channel and communicate from the other side and ask Wanglo Sensei questions and things like that and sit there like that. I just think that's pretty woo-woo in itself, being able to do that for the last 20 years. And it's been the greatest gift, right? And it's been a little hard because, I mean, when you're sitting in front of a channel, a person like that, or that spirit, they're going to tell you the truth, and it's not always what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And so that has always been an interesting thing, shedding light for me. So I see me clearly. I see things clearly, and I guess I had to say, I think that's pretty woo-woo.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
That's been a pretty woo-woo thing for me,
Yeah.
Lots of things,
but I think for some of the listeners who are really interested in getting into more wellness teachings and understanding what's happening in the different modalities, something like that could be completely over someone's head to hear what you just shared. But for others who are already well and truly down this path, it sounds quite familiar. They've had experiences themselves. And so, yeah, it's absolutely, it makes sense to people who have heard of that sort of thing before, but for some it might be very... But
this shift, you'll start to notice this. So that's another thing with this shift. There'll be more channels coming out. There'll be a lot more awareness about all this coming out. And with that though, you want to make sure that you're aware that you also have, I hate to say this, but you also have the people who might not, who say they have the gift, but maybe not. You'll have, because with everything, there's light and dark, right? There's always the light and dark. So we'll have people coming out. So you always kind of want to be careful of that a little bit, that your heart feels drawn to somebody, that it's a calling. But this shift will bring out a whole new awareness on such a new level, if that makes sense. I mean, more people think about 20 years ago when I was talking about channeling. Oh my gosh, people just thought I was crazy. Now at least they don't think I'm too crazy. They're like, oh, I do. And I think about Edgar Casey, who revolutionized all of that. I think about him. He's such an amazing man.
Yeah. And you talk about with your teacher who channels, that he's channeling first sage and pure spirit.
Yes.
Can you explain that a little bit more, just so we have a better understanding of what that actually means, like what they're actually channeling?
Okay. So Wang Lo Sensei is known as first sage, master teacher. Okay.
Right.
Never been incarnated, pure spirit. And what he's the head of Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, all of that. So his main is understanding that philosophy, right? So it's really bringing it back to, you can bring up the 8 Buddha paths, you can bring the Buddha within. It's really aligning with these old teachings. If you look at Christ, for example, when Christ was alive, he actually when he went on a spiritual journey, he went and learned this ancient philosophy, believe it or not, that then he went out to preach, the Christianity. One isn't better than the other. They really, when you start peeling everything away, there's a foundational energy to all of this, right? And there's a wisdom to all of this. And what he really is teaching is this core wisdom of bringing this back to what is important. It's foundation. And when everyone learns foundation, right? If you learn the true foundation of things, that's when you can master it. It's not any different than if you build a house or whatever. If you know the foundation of the house and you know how to build the foundation of the house, that house will be solid. This is very similar, right? So his teachings are teaching the foundation and understanding, like I talked about earlier, about there's 7 challenges in this life that everyone would put. We have principles that we want to align with. And it really comes down to, as simple as this sounds, is being a good human being. Really being a good human being. And he often says it's not easy to be truly a good human being. But we try, right? We honestly all try. And that's where he's pure spirit, the light, you can feel the light and everything. I don't know if you've seen a lot of channels before, but or been around it, but you can just feel the beauty and the authenticity and the, you know what I mean? It's just been, I've been really fortunate.
What an amazing experience you've had.
I hope I explained it okay.
Yeah, you did. No, that was great. That was really great. And it's such a fascinating area of spirituality. And it's something that's often not talked about in mainstream. I think it's really important for us to shed more light on it and to really give people an understanding of what this actually is, because it takes the fear away, like you were saying before. We need light to shine on the dark so that we have the awareness. And once we're aware, then we can have the willingness to step forward and to embrace that dark. So, I think it's so important for us to help people understand what some of these paths look like. And for people who are really fascinated in some of the things you were just talking about, because that foundation work, as you said, is so important. Do you have like a book or a teaching or something that you sort of recommend people to step into if they're interested in sort of starting to dip their toe in and have a bit of a play in this area?
Well, of course, I'm going to preach my own courses. So I have to. I'm sorry, but I do, right? I'm trying to be as humble as possible, but they are really good and that they do teach that foundation. So yes, but my favorite, I have 2 favorite books. I talked about Eckhart Tolle. I think he's an amazing teacher. Ram Dass, I don't know if people are familiar with him. He too is very good at simplifying. And I think that's the key too. We like to make everything so complex and trying really hard because it is a fascinating thing to wrap our head around this a lot of times. But trying to bring it into its most simplest form, I think, is important. I think we love, and our human minds love to make things more complicated. That's how our minds are designed. They really, really are. But when we come into the heart center, that's this energy here, we do want to make things more simple. It's a fascinating journey, but it's true. We really start to recognize, oh, wait, we don't have to make it that complicated. The heart is really what this next shift is about. It is really learning how to connect to that heart and feel it and allow yourself, you brought up the darkness, allow yourself to be okay with your own, allow yourself to be okay with who you are, and that's where my journey has been such a gift, and that need to be perfect has really helped me to embrace this so I can teach people on that level of being, no, it is okay if you fall down and make a mistake or your flaws or whatever's going on with you. We are human, and you have that simple awareness of that. If you have that, wait, I want to be better, that is the greatest gift right there. It's through that. So never be afraid of yourself. In other words, never be fearing of who you really are. And really learning to embrace you entirely and without judgment. We love judgment as humans.
Good. Absolutely. And you mentioned Taoism before, and I'm not overly familiar between Taoism with a T or Taoism with a D for Delta. Do you know is there a difference? Is there something that differentiates them at all, or is it similar?
No, it's the same thing. And it's just about flow of energy. Taoism came about of understanding, if you look at nature and you watch the change of seasons, just like us as humans, we need to sleep at a certain time, we need to eat at a certain time. It's paying attention, it's bringing that into the present moment again, and really aligning with that, knowing that there's a natural flow to all things, just like timing of the universe. This is astrology, is it not? There's a cosmos energy, and there's a timing to all things. And when you start to learn to meditate and you start coming into that center, you come into that timing of you. So a lot of times people will live in the future and be like, well, I want that job, or I want this, or I want that. And we're living over here, right? When we want to learn to come here, you're happier and know it's coming. But we tend to want to be over there first rather than being here and allowing. It's like an energy of allowing for this to manifest, right? And that's where that power is, right? And so Taoism is simply really aligning with timing and aligning with the present moment and knowing there is a timing to all things. And to learn to be patient. Patience is one of the 7 challenges that people have a hard time with because we really want the here and the now, right? We're like, well, I want that job right now. And don't we all? I get it. But if we learn that the timing may be not right for that, maybe you're learning something at a different level at that moment. Being in that moment and accepting whatever it is that you're here to learn at that moment. There's a lot of power in that and a lot of self-realization of that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that one. Just when there's too many things going on, I feel there's a need to simplify it, bring it back to just focus on the now, as you said before, being present, because getting carried away with those future goals or those aspirations and dreams, it's not helpful.
Yeah. But it's easy to do it. I'm not saying we shouldn't have dreams or goals either, but it's just putting them out there and then letting the universe unfold to us. That's the challenge, it's like letting the universe unfold, and it may have something really beautiful to have you give to the planet or to share, but we're so focused over here, we might miss that whole beautiful opportunity, and that's Taoism. That's just being really connected to flow. And there is an energy with that. There is a physical energy that you start to feel when you are really in that present moment and that power, your own personal power. And that's not like, it's a soft power. I always think when I think of power, I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's a very soft, loving, coming into you.
And do you have any tips, important tips, anything that you would like to offer our audience today?
Well, I always just, whatever it is that you do is to develop a ritual or a practice for yourself, whatever it is. So maybe yours is journaling, maybe yours is swimming, maybe mine is personally meditation, but try to find something, some type of ritual, and do it consistently. Discipline is really helpful, even though a lot of people avoid that discipline. They're like, I don't want to do that. But if you can, that helps so much bringing you back to self. If you can really do that discipline, and we do struggle with that. There's a big resistance there. I know I do understand it, but I really encourage whatever people do, if you can do that, it really does help in your self-healing, and it makes you feel good. And do something that you can actually do, that you feel like, yeah, I can do that, being true
Absolutely.
to you.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Setting these big objectives to form a routine that's just not within your capacity, I feel like it leads to just more frustration and more, self-talk in the negative way of saying, oh, I tried and I couldn't. And for me personally, I get up really early, and some people ask the question, like, how do you do that? That's ridiculous. And their mindset is that they can't get up before a set time. And it's like, well, all you have to do is shift the alarm clock 10 minutes today. That's all you have to do. It can be that small. And you've changed. You've made a step in the right direction. If you want to get up a half an hour early, you might have to take a few steps to get there, but you can do it as long as you're motivated and you're willing to do it. So, yeah.
And pat yourself on the back when you do. Like, we tend to be like, well, I didn't do it this way, so I'm going to be mad at myself for the day I didn't do it. But rather than pat yourself on the back when you did do it, be like, I did it that day. So it's really being kind to ourselves. I think we have to be much kinder to ourselves. Like, say, well, I did do it. So feel good about yourself. If you meditated or you wrote in that journal or whatever, you pat yourself on the back, I think we're too hard. I know that was one of my biggest things. I was always so hard on myself, that, again, going back to that need to be perfect. So for me, my biggest gift is to really say, no, it's okay. I did good. I did good.
Absolutely. There was another thing that a friend of mine was mentioning the other day, and it was just about reminding ourselves of all the good that is around us, celebrate all the little wins, just come back to realizing that there's a lot of really good stuff, even though there can be some negatives, some distractions, some challenges in life, whether it's I woke up in the morning, I saw the sun rise, I had a warm coffee, I sat on the couch and had 5 minutes to myself to reflect and just go inside, whatever it is
Taoism. What you just said right there is Taoism. That is just being in the present moment, of really looking at the beauty of that moment, right? In that moment, many times if you have children or whatever, you can miss the beauty of them crawling or walking and be like, look at that, but that is the beauty. There's so much beauty around. And you just said it just like that. You were recognizing that beautiful moments.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we wrap up our interview?
I don't think so. I just want to, thank you. I mean, you guys are wonderful. I love what you guys are doing. I think you're making the world a better place. And I feel honored to be working with you. I do, with all my heart. And I just give you tons of kudos for what you guys are doing. So it's beautiful. So I want to thank you.
Thank you,
Tiffany. So much.
Yeah, it's been fantastic talking to you today and learning so much more about your journey. It's very inspiring, and your teachings are quite profound. And what's amazing about them is that they're simple too, but they're so transformative. And I'm excited for people to step in and learn more about you and some of these amazing principles that you live by. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Oh, thank Thank you. It was so I'm so honored. So thank you very much. And you guys have a blessed day.
You too.
Thank you. You too.